Well, thanks for sticking with us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We've got a lot to chat about this morning. Dealing with education today, we've got Marta Aldrich here from Chalkbeat, Tennessee, to discuss a number of things they are talking about in regards to the way your kids are protected in the classroom. So let's get right on over to Marta. How you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Happy Friday to you. So I was reading your article, and this has been something we've been hearing about for quite some time in the legislature. Potentially arming teachers. Let's just get into the weeds of it. Where do things stand right now as this makes its way through the legislature?
Well, legislation to arm some public school teachers has new momentum in Tennessee. Some similar proposals have generally stalled in our state legislature, even as concerns have escalated about school safety. But earlier this week, a key Senate committee advanced a bill that would let districts decide if they want to arm some faculty and other school staff members under certain conditions.
Marta, what are you hearing from representatives? I know in your article you referenced Senator London Lamar. She talked about this here in Memphis and her, I guess, lack of approval for it. What else are you hearing?
Well, a couple of things. I think at first it would be good to point out that not any teacher would go unarmed under this bill. The legislation lays out specific conditions and requirements before any school employee could carry a concealed handgun if they're not a law enforcement officer. First, the local district and law enforcement agency would have to agree to pursue such a policy, and then interested teachers and school staff would have to complete 40 hours of certified training in school policing at their own expense, as well as pass a mental health evaluation and an FBA background check. That training would have to be re-upped every year that the teacher was carrying. The bill advanced out of committee on partisan lines. Senator London Lamar was the sole Democrat on that committee and voted against the bill, but every other member on that committee voted to advance it. She was concerned about several things, including the fact that under that legislation, um, one provision would shield districts and law enforcement agencies from potential civil lawsuits over how a teacher or school employee uses or fails to use a handgun under the proposed law.
So sorry about that. I had my mic off there. Hoping you can hear me okay now. Marta, can you also talk about? I know there were some bills moving through the legislature also that would require gun safety training for students. Can you touch on that as well?
Well, I think it's important to realize that the momentum to arm teachers comes as our Republican-controlled legislature is also quashing new attempts to tighten the state's lax firearm laws. After last year's mass school shooting in Nashville, there have been Democratic-sponsored legislation to restrict gun access by broadening background checks and promoting secure firearm storage. Those measures have met swift defeats. Also this week, one House panel dismissed without discussion a bill seeking to ban automatic rifles in Tennessee. At the same time, the bills moving through the legislature tend to be about fortifying schools as opposed to restricting gun access. They include one measure that would require age-appropriate gun safety training for school children as young as kindergarten. There are some other kinds of bills that are advancing or have actually already been passed to change school fire alarm protocols to take into account active shooter situations, for instance. Another one would create a pilot program to give teachers wearable alarms. There's also bills to increase safety training for school bus drivers and set guidelines to digitize school maps so that first responders can access school layouts quickly in an emergency. Those are just an example of few things that are moving in the legislature.
I want to go back to this issue that we were first discussing, but I want to also touch on school resource officers. I know there's been a shortage of school resource officers really across the state. I know you spoke with some folks about this. Can you give me some more details on that and where they stand in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious question is, uh, why would we need to arm teachers if the legislature passed or allocated millions of dollars last year to place trained law enforcement officers in every school campus in Tennessee? Well, the answer, according to the bill's supporters, is that districts need another safety tool because there's a shortage of school resource officers in Tennessee and really nationwide. Um, According to the sponsors, nearly a third of our state's 1,800 plus public schools still don't have an SRO, even with an influx of state funds to pay for them. I spoke this week with the president of Tennessee's SRO Association. He said that this has been a problem for years, not just for schools, but for law enforcement in general. Inadequate pay, occupational stress, and changing public perceptions about the profession are just a few of the challenges in attracting enough candidates into the profession. So I think that it's the small rural districts that are struggling the most, and those are the districts, if this does become law, that would be most likely to use this tool to potentially arm some of their teachers.
Good to know. Marta, can you tell me where does this now, where do we go from here?
Well, this will head next to the full Senate for a vote, and the companion bill also faces a vote on the House floor. The legislature is expected to adjourn for the year sometime this month, so we'll know soon the outcome of this legislation.
Alrighty, Marta Aldrich with Chalkbeat, Tennessee, talking about some upcoming bills that are moving through the legislature. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here with us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
Thank you.